everyone, it's Nicole Nowosad and welcome to design number 40. Today I'm using this Peppermint Express kit from SCT magazine and I'm using it in a non-traditional way. So this kit is very holiday themed. As you can see, it's really Christmassy. There's lots of fun Christmas embellishments, and what I'm doing right now is just kind of sorting through the kit into what I could use in a different sort of way. I don't want to use it as a Christmas page, so I'm going to start off by kind of sorting through this ephemera and finding all the little bits that I think I could use in a non kind of Christmas page. So I'm going to open up this really cute ephemera from Bella Boulevard, and there's lots of fun shapes. I love the fact that on the back of the package it shows you all the images, so you can see right away if this is something you can translate into a non-holiday themed page. And I'm really just going through and kind of picking out what I think I might be able to use. It's kind of generic, so I'm not worrying too much about colors and things like that right now. I'm just really worrying about what sort of things kind of match an everyday sort of theme, or for the actual theme that I'm going to use my page, which in this case I'm going to change it into a Valentine theme. So just going to sort through. Obviously things like Santa, reindeer, Christmas trees, those sort of things won't work, but some really great shapes to look for in an ephemera pack are like photo tabs, flowers, circles, stars, those sorts of shapes, hearts. Don't even poo-poo the tags that might be in a kit, in an ephemera pack, because you can often, like I'll do with this red one here, it's Christmas themed, but there's some good kind of graphic on there that I think we could use in a non-traditional holiday sort of way. So I'm going to pick that aside too. Those arrows are really fun. Those are great to add to a photo. Some of the sentiments are cute, but I won't be able to use them. Next, I'm going to go through the papers. So I'm going to sort out, I'm going to keep most of these cardstocks out because they're all very good for what I'm planning to do. These are the back sides of the papers. I see a few there that will kind of match my new project. I'm thinking this ornament might be cute to punch out the circles, and I know definitely that some of those papers I want to use. I'm going to use all of these A sides of the, or B sides of the paper, thinking about what might be a possibility in a sheet like this. And I think the hello for what I'm doing is probably the only one. I'm just going to set that aside for now. I'm not sure if I'll use that, but it's a possibility. I am going to use just some white cardstock with blue for my background because I plan to kind of cut down a lot of the papers in the kit. So I'm just going to create a neutral base for my page so I can do a lot of fun stuff with all the papers. So I'm just going to, I wish I had a little nice pretty bowl to put those ephemera pieces in, but I'm just going to put that off the side, and then I'm going to go ahead and just start trimming. So I'm just going to use the white cardstock as the base and just trim that to an 11-inch square and mount that onto the center here of this blue cardstock. Now I want to add a little bit more color because I know I want to bring a lot of the different colors in the paper. So this straight paper is a great way to kind of add just a thin little rim of color around the edge of the white cardstock, so it's not just so stark plain colors. So I'm going to do that and trim that down a little bit, and that stripe is actually going to be really good to help us get all the colors that we're going to use on the page and draw it together. So it's just a tiny thin line that I'm doing around the page, and as you can see, not a lot of color will pop through, but just enough to kind of bring all of those colors together. Now I'm going to use black and white photos because I couldn't find 3 photos of my kids that actually had clothing that kind of matched the same color scheme, so I made them all black and white and smaller size so I can get them all to fit here on my page. I think I'm going to go with a kind of a collage-y kind of photo placement. So I did put foam adhesive on the back so they pop up. And then I'm really picking out some of my favorite papers here. And what I've done is I've gone ahead and just cut them with a really simple cut file from the Silhouette store. It's just a heart with kind of a wonky circle around the edge. And I've just sorted them into color groups, as you can see. And I'm keeping both the outer part, the actual circular shape, as well as the inner hearts to use on this project. When you are using a really kind of themed sort of kit, it's always a good tip is to cut down those pieces of paper that you feel could be neutral into a shape, whether it's on a die cut machine like my Silhouette I have, or you're using just manual dies or even punches, the same kind of thing applies. So if you take the papers and you look at them more as the colors, not so much the theme of them, you can really stretch them a lot more. And cutting them down into different sizes and pieces is the great way to do that. So I've gone ahead, I just added some foam behind some of those larger circles. I found that acrylic wishes from the kit, and I decided that that would be really good for me to add for my title. So I'm going to keep that. I'm actually going to trim down the love off of that little photo tab and use that. And I'm just trying to put foam, just trying to get all my pieces kind of in order. I know I want to put foam on all of the kind of flowers and the hearts to kind of have things float around my page. So I'm just kind of getting that all ready so that when it's time to stick things down, I kind of am ready to go. I don't need to stop and do that later. So I am going to cut apart that tag that we saw earlier, and has like a twinkle twinkle little star, but it has a really great sentiment on there. So I'm going to cut the Christmassy part off and divide it into two separate pieces that I can use. And now to start kind of building the page, I'm going to stick these photos down, which normally I would do some of the paper piecing first, but I'm going to start sticking down my large hearts and then get my title down. Normally my title is kind of a bit of an afterthought, to be honest, but in this case I really wanted to use these really bright red thickers, and they're perfect for a Valentine page, not so much Christmas, so I'm going to add that. And then I thought about leaving my wishes, my acrylic word, as it was. I'm just using some glue dots to kind of get that secure on my page. But then I realized, as you'll see, it's pretty white, and I really wanted the wishes to stand up a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of push everything to the side really quickly and grab some ink. This is Ballerina Pink by Close to My Heart, and just watering it down ever so slightly with a paintbrush. And then I'm just going to drag my paintbrush lightly just to kind of create just a bit of a translucenty sort of pink background for where I'm going to put the acrylic word. So when you have like a clear word like that, that's a great way and very easy. You just have to remember not to use a lot of water on a cardstock background like this, because it will warp your paper. So again, just a few quick brush strokes. It won't even take very long to dry. And now I have some time to kind of, while that dries, to place my larger hearts and decide where I want to put them all. So I'm really trying to use a good variety of those different patterned hearts that I'd cut. And I want to draw in more colors. So that's where I'm going to use some of the other papers from the kit to do that. So I had put pink cardstock behind these black floral papers straight onto the back, but I kind of liked the shadowy effect of having it popped up on that background. So I'm just, as you can see, removing my adhesive and fixing that up a bit. It just gives a nice like shadow box type effect. You could actually put some stickers or some glitter in there. That would be cute. I'm going to do the same thing here with that blue pattern paper. Some of the more minor pattern papers that aren't quite so busy are good to use to fill in a place like that. So I'm just trying to place my hearts here, and I don't want them all to line up very straight. I really want these to kind of bounce up and down along the page. Really, I'm staggering them. I'm not measuring them whatsoever, and I don't want them all to line up. In fact, I want them to purposely not line up, just so that it kind of makes a little bit more sense. I'm going to add this, red polka dot here into the green and trim that off, just because I have a little bit of the green and that black floral paper. I want to bring some of that color in so it doesn't look so, off. There's also green along that stripe along the edge of the paper, so I want to bring all those colors in. All right, so now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and just sew around the edge. I don't know if you can see that, but you will later in the close-ups. I just sewed around the edge of the white cardstock before I got too involved in the page, and then stuck everything down. I'm going to go ahead now and just start adding in my circles that I hadn't adhered. I did trim off the bottom of this pink kind of strawberry paper just so it lined up nicely with my title. And I'm just going to put that trimmed off tag now down. So as you can see, I've started off with my larger shapes, and I'm going to slowly work my way down into a smaller size scale of embellishments. So I'm going to use that tag, and I'm going to fill in that empty area with a little a little flower. And I'm also trying to stagger as well, not just the shape of everything, but the colors. So as you can see, I'm just going to use some of the more smaller things now, some of the flowers and the hearts, and I'm just trying to bring the colors. So I have a little peach flower down there on my one on the left side on my son's photo. And so on the top of that area with the red heart, I want to add that peach heart to kind of bring that color all together. I'm going to add this little teal flower, and I think pink will go by my daughter because she's the daughter, and that kind of goes. And then I like this striped tag, and I do play around with the placement of it in a few different places, so I don't commit to it quite yet, but I'm going to use some twine, I think, to start to tie to the top of that little tag that I trimmed off of that sentiment. It's just a great way to use those scraps, and I'm going to try to put this up here along the top of my photo. However, I feel like the twine just wasn't my friend today, so I ended up taking the twine off. and I'll use that on another project for sure. So there's a couple more photo tabs that are fun. This blue one here looks almost like a little cloud. So I thought I would tuck that along the top of my title. And then now I'm just kind of playing around with what I have left. I really like these circle kind of, they almost look like starbursts. So I'm going to add a few of those now to fill in some of my gapped areas. I'm going to pop up my tag here behind my one son's photo just to fill in that gap area. And I'm really just trying to fill in things now in and around my photo, those hearts and the title. I don't want to have a lot of empty space around them. I want the things to kind of creep over the photos and the title so that it kind of all just melds together. So I'm going to take these two photo tabs here and I'm actually going to sew them together really quickly. Just really quickly zip them together on my sewing machine. And then those are going to stick beside that teal flower along the top edge of my Valentine there. I'm just finishing off things really. I'm adding a few of those now, the inside of the hearts of the larger hearts that I had cut. Again, if you had a little heart punch, that would make perfect quick work of this. And I will have a lot of scraps left over because typically when I cut something on my digital cutter, I usually cut more than I need so that I have a lot left over. And now I'm just trying to decide how much more I want to add. You always get to a point with a layout that you have to know when to stop. And so I'm trying to add little pieces of the black in around the layout so I don't have the one large black flower. And I think at this point I am just going to add a few enamel dots. I really love these matte enamel dots from Bella Boulevard. I'm going to add those to the center of some of my flowers along that circle tag that I had previously thought I would put the twine. And those bring in just a little bit more of the yellow that is in the outer edge of that paper. So it kind of just adds another kind of bit of color. And really, you know, we've made a Valentine page out of a Christmas themed product kit, very, very quickly with, you know, great use of all the product, and you still have a lot left over. So here's a close-up of one of those hearts, some of the clustering that we have done there. I really love how that wishes looks with that washed kind of title underneath. I did add a few little black splatters just to get more of that black in there. And I hope you've enjoyed this design video, and I will see you again next month. Bye-bye.